What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you are fantastic today. Today we're going to talk about the real ending in Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. And there's a lot of debate on how it plays, but we think that we've got the ideal knowledge on what the ending is supposed to be. But obviously I'm not alone in this one, folks. I've got a few special guests with me today. And who do I have?
You've got Ryan.
Other Ryan.
Rasbowski.
So like I said, guys, this is just a theory, an idea what we've come up with together, explaining it. We think it's the best explanation for the real ending in sister locations. So we're going to get straight into it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and if you guys have got any ideas or you're against some of our ideas in this theory, let us know in the comment section down below. Let's get to it.
Okay, so we start off night 5 in the beautiful elevator scene. Cue the music, and we're traveling down, and we get the exotic butter meme. We eventually find ourselves in the parts and service room with the beautiful baby, but baby is no longer the shape or form that we have seen. In fact, this is the first time we have seen baby, and she wants a favor from us, a favor that could lead to our death.
But is this really baby? We know in the past nights that baby is very good at pretending. Now, when you actually press the big green yellow button and move baby into the scooping room, you get a sight of something quite ghastly. Now, you can't really see it in the darkness that much, but you can if you look really well. But if you go into the game files, you see the perfect image, and it is in fact Ennard.
And Ennard is actually standing just behind Baby in the dark, and as she drifts off screen, you can just about make it out. She then tells you to actually leave the room and head over to the scooping room. And it's during this sequence that, because we see Ennard behind us, it makes sense for him to then be following us the whole time we're there. Baby directs us, but it makes you think as well, is Baby even the one talking? Because she seems to be in this shutdown state, and we've not even seen her active at all. So, and we know these guys to have different mimicking abilities through the blueprints, which we'll explain very soon. And then we're led through, and we're told that Ballora is behind us. We don't actually hear any of the voices or anything like that, or the music box, should I say, which is unique to her, which makes you question, is it even Ballora in the first place? But regardless, guys, we are then led into the scooping room, where really it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, what happened in the scooping room is, well, very tragic. We see Ennard there, basically, and the whole plot of Ennard was to get us in the scooping room so they can use our body as a shell to get out of the establishment. Basically, they were saying that this is their last chance to get out. If we look like we do, then we are going to get destroyed. If we look like you, though, we can get out of here. And then this leads to the scene in the bathroom.
Yes, this is essentially where their plan comes to fruition, and they are now wearing a beautiful, beautiful security/technician suit. They are wearing us as we slide gently from left to right, and we see an image of us in the mirror. The very striking thing that reveals their master plan has come into fruition and complete is the fact that we open our eyes, and they are now bright purple.
Yeah, now the true debate is whether people have got really confused on the eye colour. People have said that this is Ballora because of the eye colour. However, I personally think, and most of us think, that this is Ennard, because you hear a sound effect of a breathing sound effect, which is really, really dark, which you hear when you get rid of Baby into the scooping room, when you see the endoskeleton in the background. You hear Ennard's voice, and then you hear it again just before you go into the scooping room, when Ennard is right in front of us and behind us. You hear the same sound effect, and once again in the ending, when you're looking in the mirror, you hear the exact same sound effect of what Ennard was doing in the other scenes. So personally, it must be Ennard, but Ryan's got a really good point on how the eyes have changed.
Yes, because this is actually something that deeply confused me, and for the longest time I was adamant that it is actually Ballora stuffed inside of us, and Ennard must still be in the sister location. Now, this actually doesn't make sense, but it does in terms of like an anatomical standpoint, because when the animatronic, or the endoskeleton, excuse me, is stuffed inside of the human flesh, when you think about the size of Ennard's eyes, it wouldn't make sense for him to put those eyes inside of us. However, if we look at just one of the frames where Ballora does actually have her eyes open, which I think is key see in the jump scare as well, and that's a hint. The eyes are much more smaller in scale, and this is probably why we all think that Ballora is the one that delivers the Uncanny Valley vibes to us. The eyes are more human-like size, so maybe they were just swapping that out. I mean, for goodness sake, he's literally a mangle of wires with some like human form, so pretty much anything goes here, and it makes the most sense why Ballora's eyes would be used, which actually fit into the skull, as opposed to getting some big bulgy eyes that are just going to look out of proportion and not look like a human at all.
Yeah, and you guys might be thinking, why are they using different parts of these animatronics to get out? Well, I personally believe that, well, we all think that basically what is happening here is that each of the animatronics have different mimicking abilities and different special abilities, such as Funtime Foxy, he can mimic a parent's voice, whereas Funtime Freddy, he can actually make new recordings and record in that voice that you hear, but say different things. And also Ballora is used as a distraction. When they're all used together, they are the perfect killing machine. So imagine all of those animatronics parts splashed into one big animatronic and then put inside a human.
Following on from Ryan's point, we want to discuss how Ennard is completed as the nights go on. Each night a different animatronic is scooped and Ennard gets a new ability. With these new abilities, Baby/Ennard is then able to mimic Baby's voice and then use this to manipulate us to reach their end goal, which is to wear us as a human suit. The main question is, and the most important one I think at this point, is who is Ennard exactly? How does Ennard fit into the story? And is Ennard really the only animatronic that is possessed in this location?
So when you actually look at Ennard's jump scare on night 5, the endoskeleton head doesn't seem to match with any of the other animatronics. Here's a comparison. As you can see, none of the heads match with this endoskeleton. We possibly thought that Funtime Freddy could be it, but the jaw is completely different. Now, remember the minigame in Sister Location? Scott has added a really, really nice detail on Baby. The eyes are blue and not green. The theory can possibly be that Baby from the previous location, Baby's Pizza World, had the original blue endoskeleton and killed the child. Now, to get rid of evidence, the company scooped out the old endoskeleton to get rid of all the evidence and replaced it with a new one with green eyes. And this would make sense as to why the blue-eyed endoskeleton is the little girl who got killed there, and also explains why it's got blue eyes and is possessed.
And it actually makes sense as to why we have Baby talking to us through possibly the blue girl, and there's also some more hints to this in the fake ending, which we'll be covering very, very soon. But you see how this is all starting to now align up, because it seems like the blue eyes of Baby in the minigame is not insignificant. Scott knows that Baby has green eyes, and that's how he's built her. So the difference here is there for a reason, and the fact that Ennard also has these blue eyes means it makes the most sense, and it actually makes sense then why there might be some revenge here and why we get scooped even to begin with, because this was a little girl who had this kind of contraption to suck her in. She didn't even want that. She just wanted to go and see the invention to begin with, and maybe she's been trapped down here. Maybe her soul is still within the suit and she just wants to get out and be free again.
Having the little girl control or possess Ennard then makes complete sense, because it uses little snippets in the fake ending as well to almost manipulate again the player that we are as. Whether or not we're playing as the father, the son, or anything like that, it doesn't matter. What the fact that we do have is that a voice that we have not heard before is used in there and pretending to be the little girl. So that makes sense then, because Freddy and that can't mimic, they can't use a voice that they've not heard in this establishment, so it does kind of make sense that Soul is then able to control and maybe even have overriding power. I mean, add a beautiful spin on the story as well, that Afton not only has created a daughter and created animatronics, but now he's got both in one. Is that not just the most beautiful, perfect ending?
Further backing this up as well in the fake, and it's when we actually pass 4 AM, we start to hear, for the first time, relics of the little girl's voice again. They're being spoken through what appears to be a speaker system, and we know that whoever is controlling the baby animatronic knows how to do this, and it is most likely Ennard. So it just makes sense, the fact that Ennard has this link to the little girl, that she may actually be possessing Ennard, or as we're calling him, Ennard. And I think that's what kind of makes this whole theory have a little bit more relevance, as opposed to it just not meaning anything and being completely speculative.
Yeah, exactly, but just remember, guys, that this is just one side of the theory. You could actually contradict our theory and say Enid is not actually the little daughter and is mimicking the little girl's voice to try and get into our room, to trick us once again, to get us into the office to kill us. Because as soon as the little girl says, let me in, it's me, it was just an accident, if we actually open the door during that, it would jump scare us and kill us. So it's kind of like Enid's last legs. He's desperate, he needs to get us, he needs to get into our body, and he's mimicking the daughter's voice, or the little girl's voice, to get us one last time. It's on his last legs, it's the end. If he doesn't do this, desperation, if he doesn't do this, it's over for him. The technicians or the owner's going to come in and see all the animatronics completely destroyed, and this abomination just here like, hi, something happened here. So yeah, there's lots of different theories on what Enid could be. In this video, we described that it could be the little girl possessing the old baby endoskeleton. It could even be that Enid was a different animatronic, like a clown animatronic in the previous locations, which explain why it takes the mask and the button, because it was an old endoskeleton animatronic. And like I said, it could be something else as well, just mimicking the voice of the little girl. About today's theory discussion, folks, we learned that in the real ending, that when we look in the mirror, that is obviously Enid, because we hear the same sound effects when Enid is around the location when we see him. Also, we made a theory about possibly Enid being the old endoskeleton of Baby, which is why it's possessed by the little girl. We also talked about Enid, how Enid was formed with all of the old sister locations matched together into one, which made him have other traits to make him basically a super animatronic. Discussing more about Enid in a later episode, but Thursday, folks, mark your calendars, we're going to discuss more about the fake ending in more and more detail. So thank you very much for watching today's episode, folks. Thank you so much for the help of the other boys in this video. We're going to do a lot more theories in the future about sister location. Their channels will be in the description down below, and let me know if you guys have got any more theories or debates on what you think's wrong in this theory idea and what you think's right, and if you guys have got anything to add on to what we've discussed today. Lots of love, and we'll see you all next time.